originally from Elizabeth. Jerry's from Jersey City, both political hotbeds and also both sports hotbeds. So you wrote a book about 4 or 5 years ago, Betting the Odds. You also were kind enough when we reached out for his interview. You gave me this book here.
Beating the odds. Oh, I
Beating
thought
the
you wanted
odds.
I thought you wanted my memoir, but that's okay.
Beating
the odds. No.
Beating the odds. So I'll delve into this book. I was going to delve into the other book on Memorial Day weekend, but you had 40 years of service. You started out in Elizabeth. You were ran for governor back in 2018. You definitely look out for causes that for the state of New Jersey. And the one thing that we thought, as far as being sports people, there's always this underlining, unspoken truth about gambling. You always had, growing up in Elizabeth, you always had the bookies or everybody else. And then, sports gambling, it helped the state. So I don't know if, Jerry, you want to add anything to that introduction, but it's a real privilege to have you on. 40 years of service. Thanks for allowing your time to get on here, and thanks for the book. I really enjoy it, and thanks for your service to the state. So, Jerry, do you want to add anything to my intro?
Well, Senator, he didn't want me to come on because he wanted to have two Elizabeth guys on this show. So, and we never had bookies in Jersey City, so I don't know what you guys are referring to.
Well, I wrote in my memoir how I would go place my dad's bets at the local grocery store on Summer Street in Elizabeth.
Yeah. So just take us a little back at a time. I guess it's been about 4 or 5 years. And one thing, we did our research for the show. Governor Murphy did the first bet, but you had the first successful bet. You bet on.
I bet on France to win the World Cup. He bet on Germany.
Yeah, bet on Germany. So what did you know about France, and what led you to?
Well, that's interesting. You couldn't pay me to go to a soccer game, except that football game. Excuse me. Yes. But I was in Paris, and France was. Oh, this was in the 90s. France was playing Italy. Italy was a heavy favorite, and I went to the game. Nothing else to do. What else is there to do in Paris, right? So, and the star of Italy in a shootout, Biagio hit the crossbar, and the ball sailed into the air. A little while later, I'm on the Champs-Élysées waving a French flag. And then for the finals, which was, I was in south of France, and again, Brazil was favorite. And, the French are actually, at least in those days, in the 90s, they were very, quiet fans. And by the way, no merchandising, like no kids selling shirts and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I saw a tavern with a French flag with a soccer ball on it being waved. And I went up to the owner. I wanted to buy it. And I offered him like 200 euros. He says, no, ce n'est pas pour vendre. Oh, 400 euros. Écoute, monsieur, ce n'est pas pour vendre. He wouldn't sell it for anything.
No kidding.
And by the way, so I was there with my friend, and France scores the first goal, and we're chest bumping, and they're clapping. They're clapping. By the time France scored the third goal, everybody else was chest bumping and clapping. Yeah. So I taught them how to really root for sports in France.
Yeah. Well, you struck a chord with Jerry, because Jerry's a soccer fan, and I guess with the World Cup coming to New Jersey, having the final there, are you looking at checking any games coming up in 2026 when the final comes?
Well, I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's for sure, right? Senator, I don't know what I'm doing for dinner tonight.
Oh, yeah.
That makes two of us.
Yeah.
No, Senator, again, thank you for joining us. A very distinguished career. Taking you back to the time, it was around a 5-year process, right, to try to get gambling legalized.
I think more than maybe 7 or 8 years.
Okay, yeah. 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Now you basically were at war, Governor Christie, the NFL, the NCAA. Can you just describe the resistance because it's almost laughable now in 2024 that there would be any resistance by the NCAA and the NFL.
And not only that, the NFL owners have made billions because of my efforts, and they fought me all the way. And I don't even have a gold watch to pay to thank you. I haven't even received a thank you.
Yeah.
Even the casinos in Atlantic City, which were run out of Las Vegas, Nevada, opposed my efforts because they wanted to maintain their monopoly. But I was able to overcome Christie's opposition, get it on the ballot. 78% of the voters approved it. All of a sudden, Christie was in favor of it. But it took me, I believe it's 8 losses in court before I finally got to the Supreme Court and won. And it was certainly worth the effort, that's for sure.
And I think for you, though, like you saw Atlantic City was having its troubles. It wasn't really a place. And then also, I used to go to the Giant games with my dad, and then after the game, we would the horse betting. We bet a couple horses on after the football game. So even the horse racing kind of took a backseat. It wasn't thriving at the time. So basically, you saw this as an opportunity to save the casinos and also save, Monmouth Race Park and Meadowlands Race Park.
Well, actually, that was the first reason why I went. I wrote this blog. They had blogs on NJ.com. And by the way, I'm going to send you both of you guys. I'll send you two my Beating the Odds books.
Okay.
But because I reproduced that blog, and I was a skier, and I saw the skiing industry dying until snowboarding and Generation X came along. Well, the same thing was my dad. I'd go my family, my mom, my dad, every Saturday to Monmouth Racetrack. We'd have a great time. And, I go there now, and quite frankly, just a bunch of old folks like me there. I saw it. Young blood, and so it was because of horse racing first of all, and then of course with the casinos and online gaming, which I also sponsored. They needed again an infusion of new fans. As we in sports say, putting fannies in the seats, right? So that's what I saw sports betting doing, and also as a revenue generator to keep them alive. Indeed, 4 casinos that had closed reopened after we got sports betting. By the way, one of my biggest opponents was one of the Koch brothers. No, Sheldon Adelson. Sheldon Adelson was a big casino operator, and he believed that. This was for online gaming. I'm going a little bit far afield, but I also sponsored that. He felt that online gaming was would hurt the brick and mortar casinos, but I saw it as actually enhancing it, expanding, the consumer base, and that proved to be correct. One other thing, I am very conscious of what I did, and how that will increase addiction, gambling addiction. And that's why, I insisted that a percentage of revenues and licensing fees go for recovery efforts. I've actually fought with, I don't want to name the name of the casino, but one of them, and I went to David Reebok, who's great. He's our commissioner of gaming now. I think he's retiring because of their TV ads. Hey, we got a new pool. Oh, we wouldn't have been able to get a new pool without our winnings at the casino. Stop that. Stop it immediately. So, and there are safeguards in place. There is software to detect unusual betting patterns. And by the way, that's another issue, not in terms of just addiction, but to make the games more legitimate, to ferret out any fixes. You see an unusual betting pattern, bingo, you got it, and you have it named. Before it was, and we saw obviously betting scandals, and we've seen them in Europe as well. That was all on the ground. It was very difficult to detect. So, other than the downside of, yes, it will increase addiction, but we provide services for that. But that should not deter, the overwhelming people who enjoy it. And the industry, look, 16,000 jobs were lost in Atlantic City. They are now restored. There was a good chance that Monmouth or the Meadowlands would close. And we're talking another 10,000 jobs. New Jersey has the largest number of acres of horse farms in the nation, including Florida and Kentucky. And that's open space. So there's a lot of benefits that came from my effort to legalize sports betting in America.
Now, Senator, you mentioned 16,000 jobs lost in Atlantic City. I think it kind of gets underreported because your efforts, they credit your efforts with creating 16,000 jobs, which I think is very inaccurate, as you just mentioned.
Restored.
Yes. If you had to say how many jobs it created, could you comfortably put a number on that?
I was going to say a shitload. I can't say that.
That works for me.
It's free. Yeah, it's free speech. So that's right.
Well, and by the way, and that's why I have my detractors in terms of course, I'm very close to the addiction community. I have I formed the first high school recovery school for kids with substance use issues. And so I'm very well aware of that problem, but you also have to look at the tens of thousands of jobs those families, put food on their table, how much that meant to them as well. So I think that it was a good gamble, so to speak. It certainly has created tremendous amount of economic benefits for the state of New Jersey.
And you said that before, like people are going to gamble anyway. It just kind of took it from outside the shadows.
Well, but not only organized crime, but an organized crime run, but all these internet betting sites. We didn't get any of the tax revenues. We didn't get any of the jobs, but readily available with the internet. So we took all of that and brought it back home.
And that's all offshore too. So and
that was all offshore. Yes.
So
hard to crack down on, if not impossible.
Now, Senator, getting back to when you started this initiative, could you just name some of your colleagues that were really on board and supported you from the beginning?
Yes. By the way, there weren't that many.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
All of the legal experts said there's no way Lesniak's going to win this case. As a matter of fact, the NFL counsel, I can't remember his name right now, famously said, PAPSA will never be overturned at a big conference. Lesniak doesn't know what he's doing.
Oh,
but
geez.
my big, I had two major supporters. Actually, my biggest one was Dennis Drazen at Monmouth Racetrack. He believed in me. He understood how much bringing sports bettors into the tracks, not only additional revenue, but all the economic benefits that go along with additional attendance. He was a big supporter. And someone else that it's very important for me to mention, and that's Senator Joe Krillos, because at one point in time, Christie vetoed my legislation that I needed, to get into the courts, authorizing sports betting in New Jersey. And Krillos, who represented at that time the Monmouth Racetrack in that area, went to Governor Christie and said, you better work this out with Lesniak, because if you don't, we're going to override your veto. So we tinkered with the bill to make it, look like we're actually doing something different. Nothing substance-wise, and Christie signed it. And it was Senator Joe Krillos, who was very helpful. Dennis Drazen, Joe Krillos, Jeff Garral at the Meadowlands. There was also Joe Brennan. Joe Brennan had an internet gaming operation, and when he saw that I was doing the sports betting thing, he said, "Hey, why don't you include internet gaming?" And he gave me an attorney, so I didn't have to carry the load myself to help us out. So I think those were the main. Of course, Senator Sweeney and my colleagues in the legislature, the Senate president, were always supportive of it.
And I'm surprised that you didn't give up, because it seemed like it was just, it was veto it or veto it. And just like, I'm surprised you said, you know what, I guess the state doesn't want it. Let the next one.
If you read my memoir, I don't give up. So anyway.
So how would you say the state?
By the way, my golf game has gone down the tubes, and I ain't giving up on that either.
Yeah. So
right, sorry.
How would you say that after the legalization of it, we're 4 or 5 years into it, how would you say the state has benefited from it?
Again, the biggest benefit, and people really focus, the media, you guys, journalists, focus mostly on the additional revenue that goes to the state treasury. For me, that's an added benefit. I talked about before, it's the tens of thousands of jobs that were restored, and families earning a living who were unemployed, but now are gainfully employed or on the risk of losing their jobs, but retained. The word we use in economics is restored and retained, and that's the greatest benefit. Yes, the treasury gets more money. That's an added benefit. But the biggest benefit is the jobs that were restored and retained, and also the multiplier effect, as we say in economics, of economic activity. Accelerates that impact.
Now, Senator, transitioning a little bit, you say you never give up. Rutgers didn't give up on you. You didn't give up on Rutgers.
You saw that, yeah.
So we have to bring Rutgers into this conversation. So, Jimmy and I often discuss that it's very unique. It seems that, going into the Big Ten is not working out, I guess, depending on who you talk to. Some people think it's working out. Some people, are doubting that it's working out. The funding with Rutgers is, constantly getting scrutiny. So we were just wondering if you could shed some light, on Rutgers athletics as a whole, please.
Oh boy, can I? Oh boy, can I? This may be first public, although I've said it many times. But first of all, Bob Mulcahy was the reason why we got the main driving force. I know Pernetti, good guy, was very helpful, his successor. But Bob Mulcahy laid the groundwork for Rutgers getting into the Big Ten. And here's what happened. Greg Schiano, first time around, he was very, very successful, right? When we were in the Big East, I guess, right? In any event. And he said, I'm leaving unless you expand the stadium. This program is going nowhere unless we can have luxury boxes and increase attendance. And it was at that time that NJ.com, the Star Ledger, had this big expose on wasting money for athletics. So I brought in Governor Corzine. John Corzine was the governor. I brought him in, and I said, I asked him to pledge to raise $1 million for the stadium, and I believed that would get the Board of Trustees was getting shaky about approving the bond issue. I think it was like $30 million that was needed. They were getting shaky because of the adverse publicity. Governor, if you come out and say you're going to raise $1 billion for seed money, we're going to get this done. And sure enough, that happened. The governor announced it. The board approved the $30 million bond issue. The expansion was done, and that ultimately was the key to us getting into the Big Ten. Either go. Oh, one other thing. In order to do that, oh, by the way, I also got $25 million from the state for the new athletic facility that was built. Because again, to compete in the Big Ten, you have to have top flight facilities across the board. So what I did was I got this economic consulting firm, eConsult. I believe they're located out of Philadelphia. And for $20,000, and I went to 10, big supporters of Rutgers to pledge $2,000 to pay for the $20,000. And Jeff Towers, Jeff Towers, big supporters, donated millions to the program. His wife sits on the board of governors. Gary Taffet was in there. He's on the board of governors. He contributed to $2,000. And Towers said, look, put me down for $2,000, but whatever you're short, I'll make up the difference. Well, I got the 10, and sure enough, the report came out outlining all of the ancillary benefits, additional higher quality students, economic development around Piscataway, bigger donations, and actually outlined in economic terms the how this was a very wise thing to do economically for the state of New Jersey, and that's how I got the $25 million for this facility. Because they're not only there's folks, faculty on Rutgers University who don't want to spend a dime on athletics. And I showed to them, not that they, changed much of their opinion, but showed to them that, no, this is profitable. If you just look at the expense and the revenue from Rutgers itself, no, it's not profitable. But if you look at all the other elements that go into a successful university academically, and also for a great learning experience, life experience, and the benefit to the state, that's what we did, and that's how I overcame that. And I think the criticism is not nearly as much now. It helps that we have a great basketball program and an up and coming football program, and a good wrestling program as well. So I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I mean they're building, I think, a new baseball stadium in Edison. I think they said they're breaking ground on that. Good.
By the way, I want to mention one other thing, because President Barchi was very reluctant to support athletics at Rutgers. He was the president at the time. So I wrote him a letter and I put out a press release, and it was well publicized. Lesniak to Barchi: Rutgers, we're in the Big Ten. Act like it. So he goes to the chairman of the board, the Motorola CEO. I can't remember his name right now, but he says, "What's this mean, Lesniak? We're in the Big Ten. Act like it." The guy looks at it and he says, "We're in the Big Ten. Act like it." So Barchi came around and he became a good supporter of athletics at Rutgers.
So just going forward, Rook, I mean, going to a football game there, it's an experience. I mean, I just hope that they kind of cross that level where they get to like a Michigan or Ohio State, where they get, every team around the country has somebody from New Jersey, and then Chiano's the right guy to do it. So, I mean, and, I guess time will tell as far as that goes. But I know one thing, the Big Ten, I guess they share the revenue, where some conferences don't. So, I mean,
and our number keeps going up and up. So, yeah.
Now, Senator, just to try to get to current times here. So right now, currently, you're very big. You have the Lesniak Institute at Kane University. I was wondering if you could just shed some light, on what you're doing there.
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah, when I left, I had to choose between running for governor and staying in the Senate. 40 years, I had enough. I've done enough. I did enough. I didn't have the financial resources that the other guy did, the current governor. So, but you just don't turn off that spigot overnight. I had to keep driving to do things. So I started the Lesniak Institute, very close to the then president Farahi, who was very forward thinking at Kane, and now President Lamont Rappaport, and it's right around the corner from me. I teach there, and with the institute there, we advocate for the same causes that I championed when I was in the legislature. Environmental protection, LGBTQ plus issues. As a matter of fact, we have a float in the Asbury Park Pride Parade coming up. Very big on animal welfare, on ending cruelty for animals, and other social justice causes, criminal justice reform. It keeps me going, and I have fun doing it.
And do you see yourself getting back in the political game now? Because I mean,
no way. That's an unqualified no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dodge that question. Although I was at an event just yesterday for a sanctuary for retired horses, and a woman came up to me and says, "You got to run for governor. You got to run for governor." Sorry, that train has passed, but that's okay. I'm having fun. That's the most important thing in life, and that's what I teach at Kane too to my students. I said, the most important. You have to always enjoy yourself. You have to have fun. Don't take that out of your life. And I'm having fun with what I'm doing and doing good things in the same process. Actually, they go hand in hand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the governor's election. Would you like to give us a little forecast on what you feel is going to shake out? Not to put you on the spot.
No. Yeah, I'm not shy, right? Well, I would think right now that the Republican. Oh, let me shut this up. Oh, John Brennan. How does he know that shit?
Yeah.
Hey, I just mentioned your name. I'm on his a podcast. Hold on, I gotta call you back.
He must have ESP or something.
Yeah, actually, that's John Brennan. I mentioned Joe Brennan, but John Brennan, I think he's a reporter, sports reporter. In any event, where was I?
The current governor's election.
Oh yeah. So Ciccarelli I would say, is the favorite, and he's a Republican. But I say that for two reasons, and I have a lot of good friends in the race, including another Republican, John Bramnick, who's a great guy. We have a lot of good candidates who are going to be running. But New Jersey, in our entire history, has never elected a governor of the same party after a two-term governor from the same party. So historically, Ciccarelli has that going for him. Also, he comes across on TV so likable, so authentic, so real. That's a gift. Bill Clinton had that gift. Ciccarelli has that. Now, having said that, I'm still a Democrat, and we have a lot of good Democratic candidates. I wouldn't want to. That would put me on a spot because I like them all. And who knows? One of the favorites, by the way, is Mickey Sherrill, the congresswoman from Morris County, which reminds me of what brought that to mind was when McGreevey was running for governor against Christie Todd Whitman. And there was a big rally in Hudson County, and a Irish priest gave the prayer at the beginning. And he said, and after he gave the prayer, he said, now remember, it was McGreevey versus Whitman. So, and after the prayer, he says, in the clergy, in the church, we cannot take sides. So the only thing I could say about this race is may the best man win. So anyway, we have a lot of good candidates. We're going to be in good hands no matter who wins the gubernatorial election.
Well, it's good to hear. I know you got your Juris Doctor from St. John's. You follow much, or are you Rutgers?
I'm Rutgers all the way. Sorry. Yeah.
So
Rick Pitino couldn't even swing you?
No way. No. And I still keep getting their requests for contributions, but I just toss that aside. I'm supporting. I'm Rutgers all the way. So
Yeah. Did you have any the games you go to, like the basketball, football games? Do you have any places you go beforehand, or you just like
yes,
go to these venues at Rutgers? Like, do you have anything before you like doing or meeting people or anything else?
absolutely. For the basketball games, I'll either have lunch with friends and meet people there, or dinner before the game at the Rutgers Club, which is right there on 100 yards or so from the rack. Wait, excuse me, Jersey Mike's stadium.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. At football games, the tailgate is oftentimes the best is the best part of the fun.
Yeah.
I've actually watched the game on a big screen TV at the tailgate party without even going in.
Yeah.
But I only did that once. But yeah, it's a great all day experience. Yes, it's lots of fun. And I've been to the women's games too. Hey, Caitlin Clark I don't think she ever made it to the rack, did she?
I think this time she did was sold out, but I think she played during COVID, so I think that was
Yeah.
for a while. So
yeah, but so let me tell you a quick story about the basketball coach. Who's our Hall of Fame coach who retired?
See Vivian Stringer, that
Vivian Stringer. So again, at a dedication of the sports facility, I'm going there. I walk through the gym, and I was a pure shooter. I always like to show off, right? And if I'm walking through a gym, I look for a ball. I'll shoot up, and I see one of her players shooting free throws with an assistant coach making every single one. Nothing but net. Nothing but net. I'm not showing her up, right?
Yeah.
So I go out and I see Coach Stringer.
Yeah.
I said, hey, I just saw one of your players shooting free throws. She was making every one, nothing but net. And the coach said, let's see her make it in a game.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So that's why she was a good coach, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
So,
well, listen, Senator, I know we're coming up to it. I can't thank you enough for reaching out. I mean, this is probably, you're very gracious in coming on, very gracious about the book. And I think Jerry and I are both sports guys. So, just having, placing bets and stuff like that. Now there's so many prop bets and everything else. It's just, we figured have you come on and it was really forward thinking. And also like with you, just how many obstacles you got to go through. I'm surprised you didn't say, the heck with it. This is too much. The state doesn't want it. But I guess you saw the benefits of it. And also, like I said before, you bought it out from the shadow. So people that are struggling, there is a mechanism where they can get help. And that, the family knows that they're not, it's not all cash, that they could find it on their phone, that, there's a trail that they can say, that, and there's a plan in place. Not only are the revenue in there, but there's also a plan in place for people that help that are struggling as well.
Absolutely. That's, part and parcel of, I wouldn't have done it if I couldn't have that as part of the operation as well.
And Senator, I just want to say, 40 years, very distinguished career. Not probably. I mean, you'll be hard pressed going forward to find a politician, an elected official in the state of New Jersey that has, your resume when their career, is said and done. But I just wanted to touch upon one thing. In your 40 years, if you could just name what you felt was your, biggest or proudest accomplishment. And then the second part of that question is, what administration did you like working with?
Oh, wow. I've been asked those questions before. I think I've given different answers.
Okay. And it can't be Tom Dunn from Elizabeth.
No, that's for sure. No. That was my nemesis for the city of Elizabeth. But most people in the general public would say sports betting. but also there's a large segment, and I kind of feel I'm torn. It's like, torn. These are my babies. I abolished the death penalty. And I won an award at Le Memorial de Caen, the Normandy Museum, a human rights award that I over a couple thousand lawyers throughout the country. So that was pretty cool. But then my environmental stuff at the beginning of my career, where I taxed the petrochemical industry to clean up the abandoned dump sites that their chemicals created. I took them to court and won. So hard to choose the best hits there.
How
But
about an administration that you prefer to work with?
Oh, yeah. Again, that's a tough one. What I loved about Tom Kean, a Republican, he signed all of my environmental laws. I mean, we worked hand in hand. In those days, Republicans and Democrats were able to work together closely. Sadly, that's not the case much anymore. So I'd have to say Tom Kean. My friend Jim McGreevy's not going to be happy about that assessment.
Yeah.
No, well, but it would be Tom Kean, and it was both of us. He was a big environmentalist, and so was I, and we worked very strongly together. And it was at a time when we really needed, or else New Jersey would have been swallowed up in toxic waste. Because that's how bad it was at that time. So,
speaking of Jim McGreevy, you think he's the next mayor of Jersey City?
I have I'm going to punt on that one too.
Yeah.
Bill O'Day, close friend of mine. He works for the city of Elizabeth, and longtime friend of mine is a candidate as well. So may the best man win.
I think there's going to be a great race. I really do.
Yeah. Yes, it will.
Yeah. Well, Hudson County always makes great races, so that's for sure. So
yes.
But actually, Senator White, have you on it? The congestion pricing. Any issue, anything with that? I know that you think that's going to affect the residents of New Jersey, the congestion pricing that New York's
it's going to cost. Yeah, it's going to cost them. That's for sure.
So
there's nothing you can do about it. It's been fought all the way up in court. I know the politicians have been trying to get something, but New York. I'm not going to just. They think it's good policy. I think it's just funding their MTA, right?
Yeah.
But they have the ability to do that. We're just going to have to live with it and try to ease the financial pain as much as possible. And unfortunately have to live with it. And hopefully more people use mass transit.
Yeah.
So, by the way, the biggest fault of Governor Christie was when he killed the Gateway Tunnel. That hurt us so much economically, the economic development that could have come from having a one train access into New York City throughout the state of New Jersey. That was a terrible decision that he made. Hey, I'm not a fan to begin with, but that was his worst decision.
Yeah. Well,
among other things, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, Senator, I can't thank you enough for coming on, and thank you for talking about the story about the sports betting. You made it easy for me. It wasn't a back and forth. Who are you guys? What is this? What is this about? Everything else. It was very easy. Thanks for the book. I'll delve into it. And seeing somebody from your stature and speaking to you, how much influence you have not only in the state of New Jersey, around the country. It's nice to have you on the show and just talk about basically two guys that are just basically talking about sports. And I really appreciate you coming on with Jimmy and Jerry and talking about it. But Jerry, you have anything to add on to that?
Well, if you'll send me the link, we'll promote it on social media. So folks will get an opportunity to learn about you guys and maybe a little more about me.
Yeah,
Senator, thanks again. It was an honor to speak with you. All the best, and I'd love that. We'd love to have you back on. Maybe we'll get you back on when Rutgers football is doing very, very well.
Yeah,
and I expect that sooner than later.
Yeah,
there you go.
Right. Any home cooking with French coming? The French coming to to MetLife? You're going to see any? Yeah.
Well, I do speak French, right?
Yeah, I know. I know you were going to be the ambassador. I think if Gore won, you would have been an ambassador.
If Gore had won, I would have been the ambassador of France.
So we did our research on this show. So.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys.
All right,
All right.
Senator. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Senator. And
All right. Be well.
Thank you, man.
Be well. Be well, and good luck to you, sir.
Take care, and thank you very much.
And this is Jimmy and Jerry, Sports Consiglieres, episode number 5. We're honored to have Senator Ray and Lesniak come and join us about sports betting, Rutgers football, and a bunch of other topics. So feel free to follow this on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and also look for future episodes coming to you real soon. This is Jimmy and Jerry out with the Senator. Have a great day.
Take care, everyone. Thank you again.